Well, that's a hospital visit waiting to happen. Hey everyone, I thought I'd give you a bit of an update on the garage situation and the potential future project situation. Let me show you what I've been up to and what I'm planning ahead. If you've been following along, you will know that I did a mega purge and I still have all this stuff. And look what I found. I found this old machine, not sure what it does, but it was hiding behind all the garbage that was in this area. I remember I had totes and a bench and everything just obscuring it. Anyway, I've plugged it in, and I think if you press this button here, then something happens. So let's see. Well, that thing spins, and then if I push this thing up, then nothing happens. But if I switch it off again, and then I pull this thing out there, and then I switch that on, then this thing spins, and then I press this up here, and look, that spins and it goes that way. I'm only messing. I know it's a lathe which I kind of repaired a couple of years ago. Never learned how to use it. And I've been waiting for Andrew to come along and give me a bit of a tutorial. But as you know, the pandemic situation, so no one's been near. So that is a tool that I should have been using and I will be using in the future. But as you can see, it takes up a lot of space. So that has to be in here. I now have access to my tools. I've replaced that giant bench and tote arrangement with that little desk there. So that's fine for my laptop. Still got a bit of tidying up to do in my workbench, but that's okay. But all this stuff here is good stuff. And I've got some tools there, and I've got all my paint and nonsense up there. However, part of the new project negotiations I've been having with my wife require that her little Mini has space to live in the garage. That could be tricky, because as you can see, this entire wall is full of tools, and that entire wall is full of stuff. So what do? There is another slight problem with having two cars in the garage. It would be her car and it would be a new project car. So let me show you what the new problem is. The Mini, although it's a Mini, it's still pretty big. The only place it can go would be this section here, because if I get a new project, and even Bugsy, if I want Bugsy inside the same time as a Mini, Bugsy would have to go here. Bugsy is too long to fit in that area there. But even that Mini is still too long for this space. So my plan is to narrow these stairs by about 6 inches to about there, and bring that whole section that way. We quite like having our recycle stuff on a little shelf up here, so that whole assembly has to get moved over to there. That would allow the Mini to sit in this area. However, we need the width, so all that would have to go. Well, either all that has to go or all that has to go. So here's the plan. My wife has given me the go-ahead to build a garden shed, basically a storage shed, through that door in the back garden, and all that could go in the back. Let's face it, guys, most of this stuff will get used at some point in the future, but it doesn't need to be living here. It's not like a daily item. Obviously things like these and my toolboxes and power tools, stuff like that, generally has to be in the right proximity to where I'm working. So I do need to sort that out. But that is the plan for now. Through that door, back garden, I need to build a concrete pad, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be a completely different channel. No, I'm sure we can sort something out. So that's the plan for the garage, but for now, we've got plenty of room to work in Bugsy. On the subject of Bugsy, you probably noticed I've not been posting very many videos on working on Bugsy. The problem is, Bugsy he's at that stage of somewhere between a rat rod and a hot rod and a street rod. He's perfectly drivable as a kind of rat rod, sort of old school hot rod. And if I want to move him on to the next stage of his evolution, I need to spend quite a lot of money. I've got a list here of the sort of things that I would really like to get done. Power steering. Now, I'm not against manual steering, but the manual steering in Bugsy is really quite it's really quite manual. Bear in mind, it was designed to have power steering. It's a Crown Victoria front conversion, and it's narrowed, which is kind of exaggerating the amount of steering force required. And as I said, it was designed for a power steering system for that setup. Now, because it's not power steering, it's actually creating quite a bit of wear and tear on all the linkages, because a lot of the heavy lifting, shall we say, was done by the power steering unit. So that manual work has been transferred through all the links and all the U-joints and all that kind of stuff. I do have to replace one of the U-joints because it's not coping. It's all sorts of funny angles. If you've been following along on that conversion, you'll understand how I had to route the steering linkage to get past the headers. If I had power steering, then half that effort and half that mechanical work would be taken up by a pump. So that's a cost. That's a cost of around $500. Okay. Other things I want to be doing are I need to get all the rubber stripping between all the body panels. I've got kind of the rubber material I can use. I just need to cut it to shape. A lot of work, a lot of time, and I can't be bothered most of the time. So that's, as I say, that's really just labour. Bugsy is still running on snow tyres. They are going to wear down pretty quickly in this warmer weather. New tyres, we are talking $200 or $300 for a set of new tyres. I don't really see the point in putting on part warns because just not a fan. You don't know the history of a part worn tyre. I've done it in the past for rollers, but not for driving in the street. So as I say, that's about $200 or $300 minimum, really. You got your balancing, you got your valves, all that kind of stuff. The other thing I really want to get is new front springs and shocks. These front springs and shocks were taken off of a 2003. They came with the Crown Vic conversion, the whole cross member. So it's a pretty old system. We're talking what's that? 2003, 17, 18, nearly 20-year-old system. So it's going to be a wee bit worn, shall we say. And that's also the reason that the front end is sitting down a little bit lower than I would like. It's not actually too expensive to get replacement springs and shocks. They are something like $70 a side from Rock Auto, but then you've got, postage from the States. So we're talking about $200 for the new front spring setup. Okay, you might have noticed that the roof lining that we added is no longer there. We just tried gluing it on because we don't have the internal structure to do a proper hung roof lining. It's just not there, and it's just too much effort to try and make that. So we tried gluing on a sort of vinyl roof. It just fell off, and it kind of looked a bit crappy. So Our next budget remedy is to use the carpet that I used for the floor, which seems to stick to everything and it hides a multitude of sins. So we've ordered some more carpet. That'll be the new roof lining for now. Okay. Oh, the fuel filler. Oh my goodness, I still can't find piping and little 90-degree bends to relocate the fuel filler over to where it's supposed to be. That's just a pain. If I could get to swap meets, then I could probably find the parts I need, but I'm really struggling to get that. So again, that's going to have to wait. And also all the holes in the trunk area. I just don't want to do them until I'm doing the fuel tank, because I'll be taking the fuel tank out, obviously, because I don't want to be welding and grinding in that area with the fuel tank sitting there. And of course, we have the whole paint issue. Mr. Deval is obsessed with me painting this car. And I would like to get it painted, but there's absolutely no point if the body panels aren't all perfect. I don't want to just paint it and have lots of holes and creases all over it. I want it perfect if I'm going to paint it. Anyone who's painted a car knows that 90% of the work is preparation. And there's a lot of preparation to do on Bugsy. So, what I am going to do next is something that is extremely important when you're cruising about, and that would be cup holders. You want to be cruising about with a nice chilled beverage within a reachable distance, and I have no cup holders, so I do have a plan for that, so that will be on the next video. But overall, if I'm going to be spending all this money on Bugsy, I'm not going to be able to save up for that new project. So it's kind of it's a kind of tricky situation. But I'm not giving up on Bugsy, so I guess the new project will have to just go in the back burner for now. So before I go then, I will give you a quick walk around and I'll show you kind of what I've got in mind for the cup holders and power outlet for possibly music. Let me show you what I'm planning for the cup holders and center console. Now I had thought about making those little cup holders that hang over the doors. As you can see, I don't have any internal structure, so the hanger thing would actually have to be outside, and that's not ideal. Don't really have a lot of room on the dash, so the only logical place will be to put a cup holder assembly console right in the middle. Now if it starts maybe there, I could probably get it to go down there and still leave me room for my foot for the gas pedal. I could always offset it this way a bit, because as you can see, there's plenty of room down here. So I could offset it. It might look a wee bit goofy, but I do have to leave enough room to be able to grab the shifter. That's in park, so that's as far forward as it goes. So you want about that much room. You don't want to be scuffing your knuckles every time you touch the gear stick. So it would maybe start there and go down and go that way across. Cup holder, maybe a cubby hole, sorry, for my wife's phone, and maybe a little power outlet. For mounting the phone itself, my phone, which will be doubling as my music center and also GPS and maybe even a speedo, because this still doesn't work. I'd like to mount it a bit there. And there's a handy little hole there. I can use that for either mounting, or I can run power down there, because if I'm going to be using the phone all the time, it's going to use up a lot of power. So I need that plugged in. So that's the plan. That's the plan for my cubby hole. Cup holder. So there you go, fully up to speed. Sorry for all the waffle. Please subscribe, hit the like, share, helps me a lot. You never know, if I get enough subscribers, I might actually be able to push my agenda forward a little bit. We'll see. Right, tomorrow, cup holders, power outlet, progress. Bye for now.